Firstly, thanks to everyone once again for joining us. It's great to have you all with us again. As some of you already know, who's kind of logged into this series, if you like, already. This week is a specific week that celebrates admin professionals, and the idea behind it was I wanted to kind of get in touch with some really inspirational people who've got some great background stories, who work in the admin profession, and have a bit of fun, really appreciate what they do, and share some stories and have a good conversation with them about their career and their backgrounds, and the bits and pieces that they've been getting involved with. And that's what brought me to be in contact with Sarah Jane. We've been talking for about a week or so now, and every time we've spoken, it's been great, and we've had really good fun, very honest, open dialogues. We've shared some ideas, we've shared some stories. It's been great. So I know a little bit about Sarah Jane's background and story and what have you, but I kind of deliberately took a step back from that and said, let's not talk about it anymore, because we want this conversation to be natural. So the purpose of it is to just kind of delve under the skin a little bit for the next half an hour or so, and take our mind off what's going on elsewhere, and just have a bit of a chat and have a bit of fun. So Sarah, thanks so much for coming on. We've made a big deal about what you've been doing and your kind of the flagship job, as it were. So maybe let's take it back from that, and perhaps give us a little introduction, and tell us a little bit about your kind of early career and the beginnings and what have you, and your motivations for work, and where everything started from, basically.
Brilliant. Okay, well, you're sitting comfortably. So I've got a long story.
We've got half an hour, Sarah Jane. We don't want to.
Oh, okay. I'll just edit it a little bit. I'll kick out some of the dodgy ones.
Yeah.
I started out in all of this. I did business studies at college, and got pushed over to do the secretarial side of that, and said to everyone, I'm not going to be a secretary. I'm not just going to be a secretary. I'm much better than that, and then became a secretary straight away. And very early on, I had some very good jobs. My very first job was working for a psychiatrist, which was very interesting, but taught me a lot at a young age. I then became an estate agent for a while, and then I moved into the same company, but different areas of that company. And many years before that, I'd had this music opportunity when I was at school, where I wrote fan letters to smash hits on behalf of a pop star who had come and done an assembly at our school. Ended up getting this guy into smash hits, and the record company guy at the time said to me, listen, when you finish college, here's my card, I'll give you a job. And I never took that job, or called him, because I didn't have much confidence in it all then. So fast forwarding in my career, I then thought, how do I work for a record company? So I phoned all Sony and Warner Brothers and everybody then. I said, how do I come and work as a secretary? And they said, oh, we only really take people with legal experience. So I thought, right, I'll be a legal PA then. And fell into the legal world. I got quite entrenched in that. I had really good jobs with senior partners at some of the top 5 law firms in London. Moved around with some of my partners to different firms, and was earning a lot of money and doing really, really well. And then I won a holiday at 1999. I won a holiday to the Maldives, went to the Maldives. I'd forgotten all about this music lark. I was quite into the internet though, so I was probably an early person at home, dialing in on the dial-up, doing the internet. And met this guy, and he worked with one of the guys from Take That, and at the time I wasn't interested in the band. In the 90s it passed me by, and so he used to talk to me about the band, and I just used to know nothing about them, literally didn't know any of the songs or anything. And towards the end of this holiday, he said to me, this guy needs a website, anyone who can build websites? So I just, in my head, just straight away went, oh, opportunity. So I said, yeah, Catherine Tate style, before Catherine Tate. I said, yeah, I can do websites. I can do that. Yeah, I'll build a website. So he said, great, let's do that when you get back. So I came home, bought myself books on how to build websites. And this was all in the coding days, HTML. I used Dreamweaver and I built Flash elements of the site. And I used to commute from Kent then on a coach to London, work in a law firm all day in quite a high pressure job, come home, work on this website. I probably had about 4 or 5 hours sleep a night for about a year. And I knew all the time that I had this opportunity, that if I followed it, then I could, I knew in my head, it was very weird. But if I do this, I'll end up working with Take That. And they weren't even together. It was a very, very clear focus in my mind. So did the website. I used to look after all the fans on the website, became a bit of an online fan club. And, I'm a bit of a caring person. So I ended up looking after all individual people and making sure they're all right in their lives. And after about 2 years, I think, the website was for Mark from the band. And he went on to Big Brother. And I took a couple of weeks off. I was now working for Fujitsu, the Japanese firm. I was in the C-suite there, working for who did I work for there? The head of legal, basically. And I went in there and I sorted out the legal team. So I headed up a team of 6 administrators, looking after the team nationally. And where am I going with this? Took a couple of weeks off from that job to run the Big Brother thing from my flat in London. And Mark, surprisingly, we didn't expect this to happen. He won the show. And then they said to me, Mark and his manager at the time said, do you want to come and work for us full time? And I said, 2 minutes. Yes, okay, I'll do that. So I gave up this great job, went to work in music. We set up a record label in that time. We got him a deal at a major label. And then unfortunately he was dropped after about 2 years, I think. And they just culled a load of artists. And then we set up our own record label. And we did an album with that, learning as we went, which was really good fun. And then what happened after that? I went and got a proper job. I had a boyfriend at the time who said, you should have a proper job, really. Which, a lot of people seem to think the music management thing isn't a proper job when you actually go back into agents and stuff. So I then went and got a proper job at another law firm, helped them set up from scratch as their kind of office manager, which was a great job again. And then split up with said boyfriend, had a mini drama, and then Take That basically got back together in this time. I think about 3 months after I left, they got back together on the whole after a documentary. And I used to sort of see them all the time, obviously because I knew their manager and Mark, because we'd all worked together so closely. So in the end, they said, "Are you going to come back and work for us full time?" So I went back in 2009, and we finished managing them in 2017.
Fantastic. So what a story that is. And that was just, as you say, you won a competition to go to the Maldives. What just take it back to that step. What was the actual competition?
Oh, it's amazing.
So what was that? And I mean, that's quite a prize, to be
It's
fair.
quite a prize, but it was when you have these pivotal moments. I've actually learned a new expression this week, which is a thing I didn't realize. It's called return and opportunity, RU, which is what this was really. It was an internet magazine, so it was 1999, so nobody was really into the internet back then.
Yeah.
Not many of us had it at home.
No.
Internet magazine. I am a bit of a geek, so it had in here this competition saying you can go to the Maldives. I thought, well, I'm never going to win that, because who's going to win that? So you can go to the Maldives. The competition was, you had 500 imaginary pounds to spend all over the world. They were trying to promote online shopping, believe it or not. And you had 500 pounds to get a kit to go to a desert island with. So I got really carried away with this kit, and I had things such as a studded leather bra and thong set from Italy for my wild moments, and then a first aid kit for when my wild moments go wrong, an inflatable Pamela Anderson Lilo, because if anything could float, Pammy can. And I just got really elaborate with all of my answers. Sent it off, told people about the competition because I'd enjoyed it so much, and didn't hear back for probably 3 or 4 months. Literally forgot about it. And I had an email saying, what's your daytime phone number because you're one of our top 3 winners. And we literally, my husband and I, we just bought a telly, and I said, "Oh God, we've won a telly! Can't believe it. We should have bought that telly." It was insane. And then they phoned the next day and said, "You're our top winner. We loved your entry. You're going to go to the Maldives for a couple of weeks, and also the Daily Mirror are going to come and interview you. Is that all right?" So I had a double page spread in the Daily Mirror about winning competitions, and I'd only ever entered one.
Brilliant,
It
brilliant.
was unreal change of life, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's fantastic that, you know, it changed your life, but you put yourself in that position in the first place to kind of do it. And you know, when we've been speaking, yeah, we kind of have similar viewpoints on things. One of the people that I look into a lot, and he kind of coaches me and helps me out a lot with the stuff that I do. His big mantra is always to commit and then work it out afterwards, which I know that a lot of people, not everybody subscribes to that way of thinking. I totally get that, but for me, it really resonates. That really resonates. And what I like about this is somebody says, "Can you do a website?" Yeah, of course I can. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll just
absolutely.
come on. Let's do it, and take that risk. And it kind of propelled into lots of other things.
And I
So,
think the PA world, when when I said many years ago, "Oh no, I don't want to be a secretary," I didn't realise then what opportunities you have, and you don't always spot them, but you have to sort of see that slightly ajar door, get both feet and shove it open.
yeah,
Uh, Specifically now I've sort of changed my business model, or my career again, really. But
mm,
now I just think, well, if I don't know something, I'll just go and learn it.
yeah, of course,
If I see something that, oh, I can earn more money doing that, I'll go and do that.
yeah,
There's so much opportunity available for us, and I think that
definitely.
I do feel we've not been put down, but sometimes we're so underutilized for
Mm,
what we can offer clients and
yeah.
bosses that we have to shout out ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I was having this conversation with somebody. I've been having it a lot this week, to be fair. That in normal life, in our day job in recruitment, the number one thing that we hear from support staff, PAs, EAs, and what have you, is that they do feel undervalued, and that's a real shame. Talking about your role with Take That and being in the front line of the music industry, so you got with them as they were coming back and reuniting and what
Yes,
have you.
I mean, we were with Mark anyway.
Yeah.
I think I'd met Jason at a couple of Mark's shows. I hadn't met
Hmm.
any of the others. And then they did this documentary of ITV, which they just thought was this sort of kind of dead in the water documentary. And we had
Yeah.
a big screening in Notting Hill that we all went to, and it was just that night it all kind of kicked off.
Yeah.
So I was there, because I used to get invited to everything, so it was great. I was
Yeah.
at this documentary screening. Somebody said, "Well, have you thought about doing a tour?" And it all just sort of just unfolded. Nobody expected it.
Yeah.
Nobody was there with that intention, and kind of being around that vibe with them as well
Mm,
was amazing.
yeah.
And it was almost like starting again, because I don't know if they realised they were going to have such a second wave of
Yeah.
success, maybe a stronger wave of
Yeah.
success, I think, in their second round.
Mm,
Um, they've been around obviously in total 30 something years, but
yeah.
they did have a gap. Yeah, they've got a very strong career now.
Definitely. So
Sure we're up.
the question that everybody is going to want to know is, what are they like to work alongside? Is it as because
Awful.
I'm sure you don't mean that.
They are pretty much exactly what you see.
Yeah.
They're genuinely nice people, and everyone around them. I feel like I'm genuinely nice. I might
Mhm.
just be saying that, but I can see one of my friends just in my eye shot here with the San Francisco Bridge behind her. And I'm sure she'd agree I'm genuinely nice person. But yeah, they're just really nice. I'd
Yeah.
like to say normal, because there are egos, of course, because they
Mm,
can't
yeah.
do what they do without having an ego. But
Yeah.
that ego does also switch off. So they're family guys. They've kind of grown up in this industry against a lot of adversity, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a very small knit group of people around them that
Mm,
most of them have been around for 30 years. You know,
Yeah.
they're people that love them and know what they want and need.
Mm.
Um, and they're in a very safe environment with the people that they have around them as well. Yeah, so lovely, lovely chat.
Good stuff. And you got, I mean, you got the job based on kind of certain skill sets that you learned, which were administrative based. And it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that you went in there as a PA capacity, but then over the course of time, the role really evolved, did it? So if you, because what I'm trying to get at is, give us a little overview of the bits and pieces that you used to do for those guys. And because I know that it wasn't just it wasn't just a generic job.
I think I went in originally, and still was the assistant care manager, but as it all unfolded, I was always the implementer. I think that's the key thing. Yeah, the ideas would come about or something like that, and behind the scenes, I'd always be the one that would put all of that together. So logistically, I'd put it all together if they were going somewhere, or And I remember coming in. Yeah, I joined them on the circus tour, so that was 2009, and I remember doing a spreadsheet of their timeline for releases and everything off
Mm.
my own bat. And I remember them going, "Come and have a look at this, come and have a look at this," and they were all fascinated by the fact that I'd done a spreadsheet. I mean, it's a total winner. Or they used to do this. "Go on, SJ, show us your typing," and they'd all say things, and I could type as fast as they talked, and they'd all be really like blown away by the fact that I could just. So that was kind of originally, I think. But when I first went in with them, I was on tour, so it was the circus tour, and yeah, I didn't. I mean, it's not the first PA job that I've gone in and not had any kind of guidance on what I'm doing. I've just sometimes been given a desk.
Mm.
So I kind of went in on that job, and I ended up looking after merchandise. So I was instrumental in some of the key products that were in that merchandise range, just from some ideas that I had. I looked after all the sponsors, so I used to just make sure that all the sponsors were happy, because every day they had like 3,000 tickets for their guests, and you had to
Yeah.
make sure their guests were accommodated, and the sponsors were kept happy, because they put a lot of money into the show. So that became my role on that tour. Um, I did all sorts of things. I mean, I would be the one that would get, they'd have a photo shoot and get 1,000 shots taken. I'd be the one that narrow that down to 30.
Yeah.
Go, "Do you like these?"
Yeah.
And then they'd say one, and
Yeah.
and you try to think what you're going to do after that.
Yeah.
So I totally got involved in everything I used to do. They'd write an album. You'd say, "Okay, so we'd get delivered the album, for example, and then at the next stage between getting to the record label, it would be anyone. So we'd be. I remember this very clearly. So this one album, they were it was just after Jason left, and so it all went a bit mental within a very short space of time. And we did a photo shoot on like the Monday and Tuesday. We shot a video on the Thursday. We had to get the album delivered on the Friday, and it was a really incredibly intense week. And I remember sitting there while they were shooting their video with my headphones on, listening to these tracks that I'd only heard every now and again, because you'd hear the tracks as they built and got bits added to them and stuff. Saying to anyone, "Has anyone got the lyrics? And you'd think, did any of you write these down while you were singing them or not?" So I'd have to sit there with the headphones on, typing out the lyrics to go into the album cover.
Yeah.
There were a few mistakes in some of those albums.
When you actually hear that, like when you actually think about that for a second, that you basically just like had to badger them to get the lyrics, but then nobody knew, and then you took it upon yourself, and that's where the lyrics are brilliant.
It was really awkward if you couldn't understand a word, because you didn't want to say, like, to Gary,
Yeah, of course.
"I don't understand what you're singing."
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean that's quite different from changing a 500-page corporate document in one of the law firms.
I've done that as well. I was thinking one of my favourite stories is being in Romania when all the lawyers were up all night in the foyer of a hotel with the cleaners apparently sweeping around them. And I merrily got up in the hotel to have breakfast, walked past them all, and then somebody delivered me all of these scribbles and said, "Can you get all of these changes made? And we need 15 copies for the signature at midday." Leaving my breakfast and just walking away.
Brilliant.
I mean, you just do it, don't you?
Brilliant. I know that there's obviously, obviously working with such a high profile organization and band members and what have you, there's going to be lots of things that you can't tell us. But is there, have you got any, I know that you've got lots of fond memories, but is there one kind of memory that sticks out the most, that's quite a bit of fun that you'd like to share before we move on to the next part of what you're up to these days?
I loved Robbie being with the band in
Yeah.
progress. That felt like some massive part being. But I remember sitting there and Robbie saying to me, "This is like a bit of history," before they went and made the announcement. And I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm part of this," because you know, you never get.
Yeah.
I think you've always got to keep your own ego in check. So I was always sitting there going, "I can't believe I'm doing this. This is amazing." And I think one of my favourite memories is before Take That, but actually meeting Robbie,
Yeah.
Mark Nebworth with Rob. And I'd never met him.
Yeah.
And even going backstage, I felt really excited. You know, it was
Cool.
huge. It was so huge. And I
Yeah.
remember seeing this really huge guy with two shorter guys talking to him, and my boss at the time, Jonathan, saying, "Oh, do you want to go and meet Robbie? He's with Anton Deck at the moment." Now, added bonus because I loved Anton Deck.
Yeah.
Well, so I
Who
thought,
doesn't love
oh,
Anton Deck? Who doesn't love Anton Deck? My
oh,
God.
they're just part of us, aren't they? We've grown
Yeah.
up with
Yeah.
them. And I had always imagined Robbie to be quite small. I don't know why, but he's huge. He's a
Okay.
huge. He's like 6 foot something.
Oh wow.
Broad, proper man. And
Yeah.
and he instantly was lovely with me. He's just a
Yeah.
lovely man. And we went after the show. We were in my very first high speed car chase after leaving a show, so that was the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
Going with the police escort,
Yeah.
driving. They shut the motorway. You're driving around the roundabouts without any other cars there. I mean, it was just so exciting. Got to the hotel, and basically Robbie said, "Oh, I'm going to bed," and everybody else went to bed and left, and there was me, Mark and Jonathan sat there with a glass of wine going, "Oh God, we must be really boring, no one likes us." They're on our own. And then Robbie came back down and said, "I knew if I said I was going to bed that everyone else would," and we stayed up till about 3 in the morning. And I
Brilliant.
sat there as just Robbie, Jonathan, me and Mark, and a biographer.
Yeah.
uh, and Robbie was telling these stories about the early days to Take That, and I just remember listening, going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm here!" And I kept going to the toilet, sort of smacking myself, going, "Well, how did you end up here?" So yeah,
Oh,
that
fantastic.
was just amazing, and
Fantastic. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, look, I know that you still remain close to everyone there, and you still if I can get my words out, still do bits and pieces for Mark and Howard, don't you? But now your kind of focus has had a bit of a shift, and you provide a virtual service, don't you, to a number of people. So how come that kind of came about, that whole
Oh,
virtual assistant thing?
it was one of those shift things, like we're in at the moment. And one of my skill sets, I think, is definitely being able to adapt very quickly to situations and make the best out of them. So
Yeah.
I can build a website. So the manager decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and I totally understood that decision. So 'cause it does take your whole life over.
Cool.
He made that decision. I thought, "Oh God, I haven't got a job. What am I going to do?" And I've moved to Kent. I've got a dog. I thought the only way I'm going to kind of earn this money is to get back on a train and commute again. And at my age, I just didn't want to do that anymore.
Mm.
So I'd always had this idea about people working from home. I really advocate it. And we'd done the whole Take That management from home, like remotely. So I knew it could work.
Mm.
So after about half an hour of thinking, "Oh God," I just suddenly thought, "Hang on, I've only just lost a client. That's all that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm going to replace that client." Went online, thought I'd invented virtual assistants, and then found out that someone somewhere else had done that years ago, and I just realised it wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
And then just really got into. I've probably spent the last 3 years. I've had some amazing clients. I've really got into the mechanics of running a business online.
Yeah.
And absolutely love it. I mean, there's so much scope and opportunity, and you can work with people you like to work with. You don't have to go, "Oh, I'm in this job, I accepted it, I'm stuck in it, and that's it."
Mm.
If it's not working for a client, you move on.
Yeah. Brilliant. Your story is fantastic, and it's been great. It's been great listening to the bits and pieces that you spoke about, and your journey and what have you. And I'm sure If anybody's got any questions that you want to start kind of typing away, please do so now. But whilst we're waiting for any questions to kind of come through, what would you, if you were to kind of go back 20, 30 years and give yourself some advice after knowing what you know now and kind of passing it on to everybody else, what would be the kind of key takeaways from your career and your kind of key learning points that you could pass on to everybody?
I think I definitely would say constantly reach, because I've never had a role in any corporation or business or law firm or anything where I haven't really gone, what else can I do here? So I was always, in the law firms, I was always the first person to say, should we set up a social club? Shall we have this? Or hang on, this archiving system doesn't really work. Should we change that?
Yeah.
And they, you'd always get the, oh no, it's a load of hassle. And then I'd just say, well, I'll do it. And I used to sit in my lunch breaks. I remember the law firm we set up, they had a awful structure to because law firms quite often have file structurings, for the clients and the matters, and it was all by numbers. And I thought, if anyone here is run over by a bus, no one will understand that. It doesn't make sense. So I'd completely changed that structure. Had a lot of resistance to it, so I did it in my lunch break. I said, you know what, I'll do a mock-up and let's see if you're all happy with it, and if it makes more sense. And it did, and so we changed that. And the other PAs there were just like, oh, I can't be bothered, so I did theirs again. Never had a lunch break, did it through my lunch break, and said, it's all right, I've done it for you. I think at Fujitsu we found there, and Fujitsu was probably 2000, so that's nearly 20 years ago. We found that the lawyers were keeping all of their files on laptops. And then they used to email around a Word document, which they used to update to say what they were doing on all of their matters. So nothing was up to date. So we built, myself and these 5 other girls, we again, very much resistance. We built a database in Access back then, so that we had all of the matters on a database. So it was always real time. And I'd always worked in disaster recovery as well at other places that I'd worked. It was volunteering. So I said, you know what, if something happens to these laptops, we need to have a server. So my immediate boss was really good, and he said, right, go and buy a server. So I bought a server, set it all up. And again, we had a load of resistance. Everyone saying, we're not going to put it on the server, it's too much hassle, blah, blah, blah. And then the HR lawyer had his laptop stolen. You can imagine what happened with that. So we kind of won the cause, and actually the whole firm adopted our systems then, because we put these great systems in place. So what I'm getting to, the shorter version, is if you see an opportunity to make something better for somewhere you work, step up and go for it. And even if you're going to get a bit of resistance, because that way you're that person that they're then going to go to and say, oh, hang on, maybe you should be the office manager, or maybe you should have this role. And then the people that are in charge of the firm get to know you because you're part of it. I think everywhere I've worked with, or any client I work with now, I genuinely feel part of their business, and I adopt all of my energy to just wanting to help them succeed. And I think that's a different thing for being a VA, because you've got different clients. So you have to switch your energy, and each client is going to be your favorite client, but in a different way. So you just have to work a bit smarter, I think.
I love that, I love that. I love that thought about what you're saying about looking for things in a business and just throwing yourself into it to make the things better. And that's very much how I used to think about things when I didn't work for myself and work for my old company. And I think that that's prevalent to no matter whether you are a receptionist in facilities, a salesman, regardless of what you do. I think that's, I personally love that advice, because it's, as a business owner, when somebody comes to us and they say, hey, I've got this idea, well, we can do this, there's nothing better than having somebody showing how invested they are in a business and what have you. So I like that advice a hell of a lot. So in terms of questions, there hasn't been any questions specifically from what I can see, but a lot of people feel quite inspired by what you've been saying. That I think they people are liking the fact that you were very honest by saying that you didn't want to choose this career as your first choice, but then you did it and really succeeded. And I think that a lot of people are very keen to connect with you and try and keep the conversation going somehow. So how can people get in contact with you? How can people work with you? And how can people just have a conversation with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn reasonably frequently. I think I've got my Facebook page where I think you're going to put links up somewhere.
Yep.
My Facebook page is probably a bit more directed to where I'm going next, because I'm going to start doing some coaching as well for anyone who wants to be VAs or taking their business online. Because I also feel that everybody's got a bit of a chance to do something different now. You know, we've always got this pause where I'm using it massively to learn more things. So I'm going to start a membership group for VAs. So there'll be more info on my Facebook page, probably
Brilliant.
as well. Yeah, I think that's
Good
the best
stuff.
way to get that.
Good stuff. That's fantastic. Well, look, if nobody's got any further questions,
No questions. Oh, come on, somebody.
somebody, come on, anyone, anything.
Tom, I can see Tom. Tom's, I'm pretty confident, one of my clients.
Is he?
I think so.
Are you one of SJ's clients?
Are you one of SJ's clients, Tom?
There we go. We're asking a question to Tom. I reckon he's going to say no, actually. I think it's going to be a different Tom.
Yeah.
He's not listening. Oh, here we go. We've got something. Okay.
No, it's not, but hello, Tom. Hello, anyway. Oh, there's one Tom. Who knew?
So, okay. So the question is, do you think virtual assistants are the way forward? How do you go about advertising yourself, finding clients and what have you? This person's working for a retired lawyer and what have you. She'd like to start her own business, about VA service.
Hi, Sophie. Yeah, I can see that actually. So you're just working for one person at the moment, but you'd like to take on some more people. Shall I do that here, or I can always have a chat with you directly? If you get in touch with me, I can have a little chat about that, because I'm going to have a group starting. Might be less of how to start up as a VA, but I'm more than happy to share some tips on how to be a VA. But yeah, there's quite a lot involved in. You do have to learn if you want to do it properly. You are running a business. You're not just freelancing. So I think a lot of VAs freelance, don't get the clients, go, oh no, that didn't work, and then go back to employment. You have to really learn how to run a business and market yourself, either socially, networking. I think a lot of my work is from referrals, so I'm very, very lucky. But yeah, there's a lot involved in the marketing, so you just have to go and learn that, which is great though, because if you're somebody that wants to get involved in things, then there's so much to learn out there, which is great. And the thing is with us, VAs, sorry Paul to exclude you and you Barry, but the thing is with us is that we're really good implementers. So we've been doing that for all this time for all these other people. Why not do it for ourselves? And then all of a sudden you get that freedom of thinking, yeah, I'm going to do this for me and see my own results. And it's great because we've been behind the success of so many other people. It's great to suddenly be behind your own success and the success of your clients. You're not just putting yourself forward, obviously, because you've also got to make your clients successful. But I find that it's a lot of work. I'm not going to go, oh yeah, it's really easy. It's a lot of work. But if you love diving in and being your own boss and being able to work with clients you love rather than just taking a job, it's for you. So do send me a PM on LinkedIn. I think you probably would have come here via LinkedIn.
Yeah, so Sophie, definitely contact with Sarah Jane, and I will add to that. And the only thing that I will add to that is just watch this space of something that
Paul might have something even more interesting.
Just watch this space, basically. That's all we're going to say on the matter on that for now, basically.
But I gave him the idea.
Sarah Jane, you've already got previous by saying that you thought about an idea that wasn't yours. You know, you went on this conversation.
I'm really confident it was my idea.
Brilliant. Well, look, thanks so much, Sarah Jane, for your time, and everybody else who's.
Oh, thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you. Really, really appreciate everyone's time. And yeah, Sarah Jane, I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Thanks for everything.
Lovely. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.